I'm excited.
Me too. I usually literally just like to like get into it.
Let's
Hi,
chat.
Delanique. Yes, let's chat. Thank you for joining, Delanique.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting. It's
This
a
is
long time
exciting.
coming.
I know we've, for our listeners, we have been through technical difficulties and just like rain and wind, but we are here today and we're so excited for the message that Delanique has to share with her new Skintellect brand that she's launching.
I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know you have had like a whirlwind of the past month. I know you're so busy as a founder and a co-founder. You're just getting back from London. When did you get in?
Oh gosh, I got in, I want to say 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. And I got in right in time for my friend's 40th birthday.
Oh, that's so special.
I know. So I literally left immigration,
Oh my God.
walked, like took a car home, took a shower, got ready, went straight to the party.
I
So
swear you
forget
were-
about jet lag.
Jet, like, yeah. Well, I mean, anytime I see you, Delanique, you're always dressed to the nines.
Stop. Thank
Skin,
you.
CEO of Clear Skin. I mean, truly, I mean, the way that you carry yourself and your grace and your taste is definitely something to note. But I'm curious,
Thank you.
what were you doing in London?
So I'm the founding partner of an agency / online magazine called Bond Official.
Yeah.
And we essentially have brand partners in Macallan. The Macallan Scotch
Yes.
whiskey is one of our trusted partners. And we partner with them along with Scarpetta Restaurant Group to host a London Fashion Week dinner.
Oh, so
And
cool.
it was really nice.
Wait,
to,
of course. So London Fashion Week always happens right after New York Fashion Week.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so this was an activation in real life. The dinners and I am always so jealous whenever I see someone at like a fashion or beauty dinner. I mean, post pandemic, I think that's really what a lot of these brands are investing in, the in real life experience.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for our listeners to know that like not only are you founding Skintellect, but you already have experience starting up a brand in the fashion and luxury beauty world.
Yeah, I've always dreamed of being in this luxury world.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm a high and low
You do
girl,
it very
so
well. You do very well.
thank you. I'm a high and low girl, so I still love my drugstore beauty products.
No way.
I still love Cetaphil. Like
You're kidding me.
Yes.
Because I know that you use a lot of La Mer, and we'll get into that at some point because I know you've also like consulted for them and like. But wait, I love that point you make about like high and low because I don't know. I feel like it does. You don't see a lot of that anymore. You know.
I think it's a warped reality when people say, oh, I'm a luxury beauty girl or I'm a luxury fashion girl.
Yeah.
People are still mixing their, their Prada with their Zara.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
totally.
I think in the space of luxury, I think it does still exist where no matter how many luxury products I use, from the La Mer to the Dr. Barbara Sturm to the Epilogic, because Epilogic is my favorite product ever.
So good.
I still love a good Cetaphil face cleanser.
You know what? And so do I. I mean, like at the end of the day, like there are some tried and true drugstore brands, and so many girls like started their beauty journey at the drugstore.
Exactly.
Do you remember Bliss? Do you remember?
Oh yes. Oh my days, absolutely.
Right. Like I think of those brands that like I started with and have graduated up to, but like but there's a time and a place, right?
Yeah. I still love it. But no, so I mean, just to tap on, and I guess we can go into La Mer a little bit, but La Mer, it's so funny. You had actually, I want to say 2 speakers that were guests on your show that were both at La Mer. I think one is still at La Mer and one used to be at La Mer.
Yeah, Shari's still at La Mer.
Shari's still at La Mer and Chanel left. And I actually, when I was listening to Shari's podcast, she mentioned the first ever like diversity initiative event that they hosted with La Mer. And I was actually at that event.
That's insane.
And that's how I got introduced to the brand. Well, so not the brand itself, but the team.
The team. Mm-hmm. So did you use La Mer before that event?
Yes.
Okay, so you used it and you loved it. And then I remember that event was really just to like prove out that there is a missed opportunity within this demographic that they were kind of ignoring.
Absolutely.
So you show up amongst like other Black women that are like, yeah, I use La Mer and I love it because XYZ. I mean, and then at some point I know you became closer to the brand and even got opportunities to consult the brand, but I mean, La Mer, so what are your favorite products? Like, are they, I feel like they are your top shelf products.
They are definitely top shelf. Right now, I have the La Mer hand cream in my bag.
Oh,
because
so you're like
love
beyond
it.
face. Like, you're like hand cream.
Oh, yeah,
like,
hand cream.
Wow.
I care, like, your skincare starts at your scalp, first and foremost. So it starts from the top all the way down.
Yeah.
So I think about skincare on all levels across the board, from scalp care to face, body, hand, foot, feet,
as we should,
like the
right?
whole thing. But in terms of top shelf and my must-have, the concentrate.
The concentrate.
Absolutely.
I think you were telling me one time that you had like a scar that the concentrate healed. Is that quite that powerful?
Not to exaggerate, but it did. It did. It was actually something silly.
It's like medical grade.
Yeah, it's very medical grade. If you think about the miracle broth and the actual the formulation, it was created by the founder at the time to heal a burn that he was. I think he had a body burn, and he created the broth to heal it, and then he turned it into a skincare brand.
I had no idea, and I know that's like one of their hero products.
It's their hero ingredient. Yeah.
Insane. I mean, it's like there's a conversation of like, oh, like, do you really have to spend that much money on your skincare? But like, you do, right? Well, you need to know like what are your specific needs, and like, you know, do you splurge on the cleanser? Like to me, I don't think there's really a need to splurge on cleanser. Like,
I feel you.
But like the treatments, I think that's where to splurge.
I think everything after the cleanser is where I think a lot of people put their focus on. Like, to be honest, like the treatment, when you think about a serum, right? That's where a lot of hyper targeted, and we can get into that when we talk about Skintellect and stuff, but that's where a lot of hyper targeted ingredients usually live in the serum. Even sometimes a moisturizer, people overlook a moisturizer. They switch out moisturizers, but they have their tried and true serums that they never kind of like go without.
I feel like more and more though, because there's this focus on efficacy, like brands are putting more efficacious ingredients in the moisturizer.
Absolutely.
Now. So you see like peptides and you see ceramides and moisturizers, where before I was just like, this will moisturize your skin and don't ask any questions about it.
Exactly. And I think too, when you think about like moisturizer, for example, it stays on your skin
all day.
So obviously
it's like the
you want something.
I think a lot of people don't know. Like if I ever were to meet a person that didn't put on moisturizer before going out into the world, I would literally say like, oh, do you know that you are like that is your protective layer? Yeah,
that's your skin barrier. It's literally now exposed. Yeah. And if you think about the most potent ingredients are in the serum, that means your skin is a bit more sensitive. So you should always lock in that layer with a moisturizer, but then protect it with an SPF. So it's like the full, everything is protection in my book.
100, even like your makeup is protection.
Yeah. You know? They're making foundations with SPF now.
With SPF?
Only because the girls do not want to use their SPF. So they're finding every way to kind of...
I'm guilty.
Yeah.
I'm guilty. I get so lazy with my SPF. Like, I use Dermalogica's SPF moisturizer. It's like their dynamic skin recovery moisturizer, and it has the SPF in it, and it just makes my life easier. I think I want to say like there have been some SPF sprays you can put over your makeup
that helps with reapplication. I would say. I think for a long time before I really got into SPF, I had a hard time with like reapplying every 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have like those, like, it feels impossible, especially if you're out and about, then your skin, you know, obviously especially if you're in New York, there's the air pollution. You feel like you're just like smacking that on top of pollution, and it's like it's a whole process. But I think there's a routine to it, and I think the spray-ons really help.
Yeah,
but I don't see a lot of brands with those. It's very rare.
It's very rare. I am hopeful that we'll continue to see innovation and advancement in the SPF space, including just like having stronger SPFs in the US, because like
I agree.
Is so bad.
Hopefully we at Skintellect, we can offer that at some point.
Yes.
I know there are a few brands that are working on creating SPF that's not just good for coverage for melanated skin, but also has ingredients that still enriches that like skin experience and is like skin loving ingredients. Because obviously we talk about the mineral sunscreen and the chemical sunscreen, and we all have our feelings about each. But I think beyond the white cast, you have to also look into the ingredients and see if they're good for your skin beyond no white cast, you know. I know one brand, it's coming soon.
I'm excited. Well, let's get into that. Let's get into that, because you wear so many hats. I feel like that's the Jamaican in you. Like
it really is.
It really is, right? Like, I mean, co-founder Beneficial, now founder of Skintellect, and you've also done a lot of consulting for different brands. But please tell us what Skintellect is, because I think it's truly futuristic.
Oh gosh, thank you. I'm very excited, nervous, happy, all the feels. But Skintellect is an editorial and social e-commerce platform that is made with melanin skin in mind. It's for Black beauty brands to meet the demand for hyper-targeted skincare. Amazing. So it sounds like a mouthful, but essentially an editorial and marketplace for Black founded brands to meet the demand for hyper-targeted skincare.
So there are a few things that excite me about this. I mean, so many things excite me about this, but one is just that, like, to me, like, this speaks to an audience that would be highly enthused to be on skintellect.com, right? Like, this is for the girls.
This is for the girls.
This is truly for the girls, because when you think about the girls, like, we want to stay up to date in what's hot and new. We want to support Black founders. We want products that were made for us in mind, right?
They're excited.
They're excited. And so bringing that like editorial experience where we're staying up to date on what's hot in the space, but we can very seamlessly shop all in one platform is something that just hasn't been done. And you talk about social commerce, which has taken on like various different forms, and like this is something that hasn't been considered, like the editorial approach to social commerce.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I don't want to say I'm reinventing the wheel per se, because marketplaces has been done before, you know, Black beauty marketplaces have been done in a sense, but I think the approach is different, right?
I agree.
It's like we talk about luxury and high and low beauty. This is exactly what that is. We're not compromising aesthetics, for one, because the girls love aesthetics.
We love the aesthetic.
We're not compromising that luxury experience, the look and the feel. We're not necessarily skimping on, you know, a marketplace that's bringing you the low of the lowest product. You will find something for $19, but you also find something for $96, right? So it's a good middle ground. And we're also creating content that speaks to that young, Black, very exciting audience that wants to know more about skincare in a very like fun way, where it's like a hey girl, this is what's happening. But still from a very educational standpoint that doesn't feel too authoritative, but also, you know, in a way that it's approachable, it's digestible, it's fun. And it's for discoverability too.
Yes.
You know, we have brands that we all know and love.
Yes.
But brands that you've never heard of. And that's the fun part.
So many, and that's what excites me the most as well, the discoverability, because to your point, it's like there are brands that we are just so happy for, that have done quite well and that have been pioneering in the Black beauty space, and they've truly like knocked down doors for other brands, right?
It's inspiring.
It's really inspiring to see all the new Black beauty brands or brands created with melanated skin in mind popping up, but like the process of discoverability has become so complex.
Yes.
It's overwhelming for the consumer, and so to offer an experience that allows the brand diversification through their sales and discoverability, but then the consumer like ease of discoverability, ease of shopping, and education is beautiful.
It's all in one place, and I think that's the beautiful thing about it. Where when you when you go to skintellect.co, you aren't necessarily thinking about which brand is Black owned, because they all are. They all are. And yes, we're not launching with 100 brands, because as you said, that would be very overwhelming.
Yes.
We're going to ease into introducing new brands, but you don't have to think, not even once, if this is a Black owned brand. The only thing is, you just need to know your skin type, if this is a product you want to use, and if you're willing to try it for the first time, and if you'll love it, right? So I think it takes out that guesswork of the Black beauty brand experience.
I mean, exactly. And so with just like the curation in mind, I mean, really that is a job of a beauty editor.
Yeah.
To curate your beauty experience, and that is what you're doing, but making it shoppable, making it e-commerce. So it's super cool.
It's fun. I think too, maybe I wanted to be a beauty editor in my life at some point.
Don't we all want to be a beauty editor? Like that just feels like that. It feels like that job that we all low key want.
Yeah, I think if there's any girl I envy, it's a beauty editor.
Same. Especially in 2023, because they're kind of like the influencers too.
They
like,
absolutely
treated, are. Like, I mean, they're like invited to all the events and dinners, and
it's exciting, and I love that. And I love that they're usually, when you think about beauty editors, when I was interning back in like however long,
oh my gosh, intern. No.
I don't think I even wanted to approach an editor.
Yeah.
I don't think I was able to approach an editor.
I mean, but they were the it girls.
And they still are, but they're approachable.
But they're more approachable.
Yeah, they're more
social
approachable.
Media has made them that way. They've made them feel a little more approachable.
Yeah, they feel real.
Yeah.
I like that.
They feel like real people.
I can't do their job, but because writing is one thing I don't think I have mastered just yet.
And there are so many writers. It's so competitive. But tell me, so like, how do you envision, or hold on, wait, let me think about what I want to ask you next. So I know that you talked a lot about how important it was to you for it to be the right time for Skintellect. And this has been something that's been in the making since 2019. For you, like, why did you choose now?
There's never a right time, really.
Never.
To be honest, if I'm a Virgo, I'm a perfectionist, and
you're such perfectionist.
It's kind of strange, and my friends will agree and disagree at the same time, because I'm also like, let's go with the flow. It will be fine. Yeah. But I think when it comes on to your work, I am just so like, it's never ready.
Yeah.
And in 2019, when actually we launched in early 2020. I was working on it in 2019, launching early 2020, but I didn't launch with the commerce aspect.
Right.
It was just the editorial, just the education, more so of building that community. But if I'm being very honest, I was not happy with the branding. I was not happy with the look and the feel. And I am a visual person, right? So for me, even if I can't create the most beautiful visuals, I know what it should look like.
You know what it should look like. But it's, I mean, like, how did you get to the point where you knew what look and, well, you knew what look and feel you always wanted, but how did you get to the point where you were able to actually put that on paper? What was that process like?
Honestly, it's being able to mood board.
I was
you know,
say, were you like mood boarding?
I had to mood board, and I was mood boarding for a very long time. I was creating like Instagram save folders, and you know, and I would open Canva and start just like piecing photos together, because that's just the way I knew how to start. And it just came to a point where I'm like, I know which colors I want. I know what I want to be the main, you know, colors. I know what I want as the accent color. I know what the visuals to look and feel like. I know what kind of, and then it started to make sense. I know what kind of brands I want to work with. I know what kind of story I want them to tell. So it just all started to fall into place. And to be honest, earlier this year, it clicked. I was like, Delanique, this is the year. You have to launch it, and it cannot be after September, because you're never going to do it. Because that's when I get too comfortable and it's too cozy, and then life is moving, and then my Bond Official, it gets really busy in Q4 and the holiday. So I didn't want anything else to pull me away from that moment. So I just went heads down and started working. And I swear to God, everything kind of just like start falling into place. I went to the Black Beauty Club events. I met one of my writers there who's now writing for me. A friend of ours at my company, Bond Official, introduced us to a guy who's building this tech marketplace platform.
Oh, so you got your tech guy.
And then I reached out. Well, he reached out. Well, we got connected. Then he reached out, and he was like, hey, like, if you guys are interested, we'd love to hop on a call. So I signed up just to see what it's all about, because I was in conversation with another company. They were so expensive.
Oh my gosh, of course.
And I ended up just like working with these guys. They're based in Sweden, and they've been incredibly supportive, incredibly helpful. And I feel like if I didn't have all those support and touch points, it wouldn't have made sense any other time. And it's all happening now. So it's like, why not? And I can't wait until I have 100 brands. I have to start with the brands I have and then keep going.
No, I think you're doing it the right way. It can be, like I mentioned, very overwhelming when, as a new user to a new brand, you're trying to understand, like, what is the ethos? How, like, what is the user experience online? Like, and being inundated with too many options just doesn't make that user friendly. But I love to hear that it was just stars aligning for you.
It really was.
Like, you're putting in the work, and you were waiting for the right moment, and then everything just fell into place. And I can totally relate to that, because like what we all know with, you know, startups is that sometimes the idea is there, but if the timing is not right,
it doesn't work.
It just won't work.
And the timing it feels right. I think I know. You know, I've met so many brand founders recently, and I'm constantly having this conversation around, you know, Black beauty marketplaces, Black beauty retailers, and just like discoverability. And it keeps coming up and up and up. And I'm like, Delanique, you have this idea, just run with it, and just start. And once you start, you can figure everything else out.
Exactly. I mean, the best way to learn is by doing. But to your point about you not reinventing the wheel, it's not that there aren't marketplaces out there. Yes, there are marketplaces. I mean, there are even Black brands in like Sephora, which I would love to touch on, because you know there are different the experience of being in a major retailer like a Sephora is different than going through a smaller marketplace. But it's not that there are other marketplaces. It's the approach, right?
Yes, true.
It's the approach. But so you're starting off with a very curated lineup of brands. and I know the discoverability is there. What other opportunities are you giving founders to tell their story through your platform?
Yes, so we have the editorial division, which is where we cover ingredients from, and we're approaching this from the lens of African beauty, by the way, which I don't think I mentioned at all.
No, you didn't, but it makes sense. I mean, you've shown me skintellect.co, and it's these very juicy, beautiful colors that definitely are derived from the African continent.
And if you think about Black beauty is African beauty.
Yes.
And I think Burna Boy Mom said it best: before we're anything we were Africans first.
So true.
So I think when you think of, even I'm Jamaican, but when we think about our rituals and we think about castor oil and prickly pear and all of that, if you go back to the origin, it's the motherland, right? So that's the approach. So we have the editorial division where we discuss a lot about ingredients, which we're not really overwhelming the audience with a lot of editorial and a lot of product first. We start with a few and then we introduce later on. But you think about that, and then we also have editorial features with our founders. So we have it in like a Q&A style where we ask no more than like 10 questions. And it's about their background, how did they start their business, obviously advice, and kind of like a little bit more details on like what they're doing. And it's not just focused on the brands that we have on the marketplace. We want to be able to also feature founders and brands that aren't necessarily on the marketplace. For it could be that they're just not marketplace ready, but we still believe in them. We still create that platform for the brands to also live within our ecosystem at Skintellect
and be discovered through, and then improve their direct sales.
Exactly. And we're not just a marketplace that's, we want to sell a product, get rich, go away. You know what I mean? It's more like we are here to support that direct sales channel for brands. It's that DTC, you know what I mean? Like that direct sales channel where I feel like a lot of brands, because they rely on big retailers, that focus isn't necessarily on their brand direct like sales channels. So
they don't have as much ownership over their customers. I mean, I think
and we allow that.
You're allowing that, which is huge. And also just like giving voice to these founders, the founder behind the product. We know how important that is for startups, especially in the beauty space.
I know
the founders are like,
it's a noisy space.
It's noisy. So like the founder really does have to be front and center behind their product. I'd love to dig into just the discussion around giving these brands like power to diversify and be in new marketplaces and retailers, but still like not in a way that takes away from their direct channel, because so often we see that happen, right?
No, we are directly supporting their sales channel. So we are more so, the makeup of it is we're not the traditional retailer. We don't have the traditional wholesale buying power just yet. Maybe we will one day.
You will. Yes.
But when you think about, and I think one of the biggest retailers, quote unquote, that does this is Amazon, if you think about it, right? And I don't think a lot of people think of Amazon in the traditional like marketplace as we know it, but they really are.
They are.
They're a marketplace in the truest sense. Like when you go on Amazon, you don't necessarily get all your products from Amazon, but it's coming from a brand. Obviously their model shifted and now they're huge and they can actually like have a warehouse with all the brands and the products and whatever. But when they started out, it's essentially supporting that direct sales for each brand. They just created the platform. And we're doing that for Black Beauty in a more curated and a more luxury
in the experience that the girls want.
The experience what the girls want. It's not your Amazon. I think of it as your Net-a-Porter for Black Beauty brands.
That's the vibe it's giving. It's definitely giving the Net-a-Porter for Black Beauty brands with the luxury, the editorial curation.
I'm loving it. And it's like, and there's style to it, right?
There is such a style to it.
It's not just your typical black and white editorial or like, you know, a website.
Right.
There's colors, there's texture.
It's inspirational. It feels inspirational.
It feels like an individual put some sort of life into this. At least I hope so.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. From what I've seen, it's juicy like that. I literally, when you went to the website and showed me, I think that was the first word out of my mouth. Like, wow, this is rich. This is juicy.
Oh, thank you. I hope that's everyone's experience.
Seriously though, but thank you so much, Delanique. I'm really excited just to see what you're doing for the brands, what you're doing for the consumer, and then also like what you're doing for editors. You mentioned like the opportunity for freelancers to potentially
absolutely. And I want freelancers who, one, they're in beauty obviously, but also has like an interest in, you know, talking a little bit more about beauty, because I think beauty can be so broad and people write about all sorts of different things. This is not necessarily where you go to find the 10 lip glosses you should buy. Right. You know, it's a little bit deeper than that.
It's much deeper.
It's more so, for let's say if we're covering a topic on babo oil, which is the tree of life from sub-Sahara Africa, we are also including a list of products that also has that ingredient, right? So we're not just educating you on the ingredient, we are also showing you the products that you can also try to experience and what it's good for and all of that, from face, body, you name it.
It's holistic, it's experiential, it's actionable. And you called out a buzzword, beauty, just for our listeners who don't know what beauty is. Can you please tell them?
No, so beauty is essentially it's basically coined for African beauty.
Yes.
And how we basically think about African beauty is the rich biodiversity of the botanicals in the motherland, Africa. And we go a little bit deeper by also covering those rich biodiversities, botanicals in the diaspora, right? So when you think about African diaspora, you think about the Caribbean islands, you think about Brazil, right?
So often forgotten, but
right. And which I think Brazil has the largest Black population outside of
the U.S.
or the continent per se. Yeah. So we touch on that. We touch on those ingredients, and we try to connect the dots, because
you really are connecting the dots. I was going to say, like, you're making me feel like I have an opportunity to be closer to the motherland in a way I've never had before.
Yeah, by way of exploring those like bountiful, by way botanicals, by way of beauty.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting?
It's so exciting. It's so exciting. And like the more we talk, the more I'm like really getting, I'm like, wow. Because we're touching, I understood the editorial and the social commerce, but like the beauty piece.
It's more, that's the purpose.
That's the real ethos behind it all. Yeah, right?
That's the purpose. Yeah. I think the real ethos is to connect, and granted, we're both from the diaspora,
right?
And it's to connect us back to the motherland and really appreciate and experience and really invest in those African beauty ingredients, because they're oftentimes overlooked. When they're celebrated in a way, it's never really us celebrating.
No, you're right.
African botanicals.
It's never us.
It's like so interesting.
You find it in like your healthy food markets,
right?
Like in like Whole Foods, like right.
You get me.
Like the beauty aisle in like Whole Foods.
I just got back from London, so you get me. It's
right? Like yeah. No, you get me. I'm definitely getting you for sure.
No, so it's like it's never really us, but then there are founders who are truly creating products in the likeness of the motherland in a very beautiful way. You have a brand that I actually discovered recently, and I reached out to the founder, based in Sweden, which funny enough, I'm working with the guys in Sweden. Right. Who would have thought? Yeah. Based in Sweden. The guy is Ghanaian.
Okay.
Ghana and Togo is like borders, so they're basically the same people. But he's half Ghanaian, half Togolese.
Okay.
And he created this brand called Melion. And because they're based in Sweden, the marketplace wouldn't necessarily work because we're primarily focusing on the US shipping. I said, hey, what if I can just get my audience a discount code or something? So if they, obviously when they shop, let's say if they discovered you through Skintellect and they see the code, they can apply that checkout. There's a little perk there for them. He's nice. Like, I'm down. Okay, so we're connecting in different, we're also connecting with the brands in other ways. It's not like, oh, you can't join the marketplace. All right, bye. We're not ending the conversation there. Yeah. It's like, how can we extend that support for a little bit further without directly benefiting from you being on our marketplace? Right. Because at the end of the day, we are an ecosystem.
We all benefit from one another.
Exactly. So it's pushing that conversation.
Yeah.
And I hope it extends beyond beauty.
It really does. I was going to say, you're thinking about this in a way, like beauty as a vehicle to like reconnection to the motherland and investing.
No matter where we are.
Yes. Right? Because I think that like often the conversation around like our roots is very fragmented. It's just like not inclusive. It doesn't feel that way, but because we're always finding ways to like divide ourselves. Yeah. But there's
usually a push and pull.
Yeah.
Right.
There's definitely
it's who is more African than the other person.
Yes. It's never like we are all African.
Yeah. It's who, but I think this is one way to have a conversation around the motherland, in a different way. Yeah. And sometimes it's meeting people where they're at. And beauty is one of the ways to do it.
It's a way to meet people where they're at. What do they want? How does this resonate with them? And beauty at this point is just resonating with us all. So
I'm excited.
I'm so excited.
Yeah,
so,
I can talk products all day long. So
I know. I was gonna say, like, what are some of the brands that like people can be excited to shop?
I thought you'd never ask.
Yes, I was gonna say. Well, I wasn't sure if we were allowed to disclose just yet. But
no. So we are one of the It Girls' favorites, Epilogic.
Yes. Oh my gosh! Like that founder is like nothing short of like a celebrity in my book.
Oh yeah, Dr. Shanive. She's the absolute best.
Yes,
she is. She gave me unwavering support from the beginning. I reached out to her, and not once did it feel like it's a push and pull. Yeah. She's just like, let's support, let's do it. Obviously, it had to make sense. The logistic has to be right. But she showed me support from the beginning, and that was super, super exciting. And then we also have LA-based brand called Namesake, which, funny enough, I discovered Namesake last year and have been using them as a moisturizer ever since. They only have one SKU.
Oh, wow.
And it's their daily moisturizer.
I love that.
And I've been using their moisturizer ever since. It's a rose hip advanced moisturizer. Okay. And essentially what that does is it has rose hip oil. First of all, it's very smooth and velvety. It feels like cloud. It feels like butter. It's silky smooth. I need like to get you
shea-like or
not
like
even. Whipped? It's very whipped.
Okay.
It's very whipped, very light. The texture is incredibly insane. And that was my first experience with it.
And that's important for a moisturizer, the texture.
It's very hydrating. It's not tacky. It's not sticky. It's not too matte. It's not too dewy. It's like a perfect finish.
I struggle with the dewy. Like I want that dewy look, and then throughout the day it becomes oily. And
it has a smooth, perfect, silky, soft finish.
I look at your skin, and you have like the most even.
Oh gosh, thank you.
Not too glowy, not too matte. It's just like the most lovely base. It's just
obviously, like I also wear makeup too, so for me I need to make sure that,
but it starts with the moisturizer. Your makeup starts with the right moisturizer,
and that's what I was gonna say. I have to make sure that my skincare routine is right before I apply anything else. And that's how my love of skincare started, because I was suffering from really bad acne in like 2000.
I would never guessed you had.
It's so funny. Every time I tell someone this, they're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, I promise you, I'll pull out my phone and share the photos. Literally on the side of my face and my forehead, incredibly bad like spots from just like pimples and all.
So it was the dark marks.
Yes, hyperpigmentation, which we talk about a lot on Skintellect, because obviously that is a huge concern in the melanin skin department, right? Yes. I was really struggling with that, and that's when I started using makeup, but I was always horrible at makeup. Yeah, so I was like, oh, this is so bad. It's so ugly. Like, I need to figure something out. And that's when I just had a huge deep dive into skincare. And I didn't stop until I perfected it.
And this was, you were saying circa like 20...
This was like 2017.
Wow. That was like yesterday.
Yeah, it was 2017.
And I left makeup? Like
No, I left out this very important part because I got so hooked on skincare, guys. Yeah. Like so hooked. It's all I talked about in 2018.
And that wasn't that wasn't like a part of the conversation in beauty. I mean, it was, but not in the way it is today.
Not in the way, not in the way that it, especially Black beauty.
Definitely not.
It was definitely not a part of the conversation. I was so obsessed. At this point, I already finished school. I'm a working woman, working corporate. I literally one summer went to UCLA in LA, to do a crash course on cosmetic science.
You are lying
and
to
the
me.
Ingredients and regulations around skincare.
They had this?
That's how obsessed I was.
Oh, you were obsessed, but in the most productive way though. Like you went into like a whole. That is like the most Black girl thing. Like, oh, I'm obsessed with skincare, so I'm gonna go get like have a like course on it, and like
it was a crash course. I got a certificate mailed to me and everything. It was the most random thing I've ever done. Does this course still exist? I think it does.
How did you even find this?
Like, I literally was just Googling skincare classes.
Wow.
And it was in person, and I flew to LA to do it.
So, and how long were you there?
It was literally a week long.
Wow.
But it was a 6-hour class every day.
Insane.
It was
and you like took time off of work and just that's dedication.
A flight to LA, got an Airbnb, and walked to UCLA because I stayed right in the area.
So you're just like at UCLA. You like went back to college for a week, and I love that.
Yeah, it was incredible. So I should talk about that certificate more.
You really should. That's a funny story. That's like a fun fact, like a fun icebreaker. Like fun facts.
It is. I don't talk about it enough, but it's one of those things where I learned so much.
Yeah.
But I learned mostly about how to, like regulation, ingredients, but they taught you a lot about if you wanted to start your own product. And even though I'm not there yet per se, but I still have a lot of those tucked away.
You've got the toolkit.
I have the toolkit.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was a great way to walk away. It was amazing to walk away with.
And it just helps. I mean, for you in having conversations with beauty founders, like it helps with that.
And that's how I was able to really have real conversations with doctors and like, founders who didn't just work with a lab and create a product, but they're coming from the background of being a doctor.
Yeah.
So that's around the time I also met Dr. Barbara Sturm.
Yeah.
I was like going to all her events and like, we're in like these this small penthouse doing like a Dr. Barbara Sturm event, and she said, "Oh my God, your skin is amazing." I was like, "Thank you." And then I was like, "I'm curious about your blood cream. Like, how do you actually create that?" She was
like, "What?"
Yeah. And we were talking about the blood cream and how she separated the white and the red blood cells. And she made me a blood cream right on the spot.
You're lying.
Pulled my blood, brought it back to the lab, gave me a blood cream. I used it for at least 3 months, had it in the fridge. I had to, because otherwise it will go bad. And
I'm just thinking about how like
it's just a lot.
Like Skintellect. I mean, you have such like a plethora of knowledge in this space that like it doesn't end with Skintellect.
It doesn't.
It's
a way to officially start because I have like pockets of information and like pocket of things that I've done, but this is a way to kind of like marry everything
together.
Yeah. For the Black girls.
For the Black girls. But it's you. It's uniquely you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so excited for you, Delanique, not just for Skintellect, but then for all of the things to come in your career.
Thank you.
I think you have like the most bright future here.
Oh gosh, thank you. Well, you heard it here first.
And it'll be fun to like reconnect in a year or 5 years and see where you're at, just like a little progress check, because I know that you're just gonna like catapult from here.
I know. Thank you. That would be nice to kind of we hope, right?
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
We know.
But it would be nice to listen to this like 5 years from now.
Yeah, I look at so Brooke Devard. I
love Brooke.
I love Brooke too. I know, and she's so great. And she's actually, I mean, one of the people that really inspired me to start a podcast. It was never on my radar before.
Yeah, she's an OG, one of one.
One of one. I mean, she started so long ago, and she was posting about, because Ami Collet, they won an Allure Best of Beauty award. I think they've won an award like every year, but
yeah, they're good.
They're so good. But I remember, so Brooke posted one of her interviews with Giaria, the founder.
Oh, with Jada, yes.
Jada, I'm sorry. Yes. Brooke posted one of her original interviews with Jada, the founder, way back from like 2017.
Yeah,
it's just like coolest thing to see her now.
I saw that too. It's amazing because you can just feel the passion in that interview.
Yes.
I own all things Ami Collet. From the brushes to the liquid joy that they just launched, everything.
So I really need. That's actually what the newest product that I've been dying to try, the new liquid eyeshadow, because eyeshadow's coming back and I'm really excited about it.
Oh yeah, liquid joy is cute. I love how like easy you can like take it around, apply it. They make it very easy.
I know, and the colors are just they're just spot on.
Great names too. Harlem, Bed-Stuy.
Right. I love the names. It's just
one day we'll have Ami Collet.
We'd love to see them too.
Once we launch tint. Yes. Right now we don't have tint. It's all skincare, body care. We do not have tint just yet. But once we do, fingers crossed we'll have Ami Collet at some point. Jada, if you're listening, hey girl.
Hey girl, hey. Well, thank you so much for joining Delanique. This was so fun. And where can they find you?
Gosh, I am Delanique, and yes, I do have my name on Instagram. I know it's very rare. It's just Delanique, Delanique, and Skintellect is skintellect.co, skintellect.co. That's also our website as well, skintellect.co. Yeah, pretty much. And if you search Delanique Millwood, I'm sure my LinkedIn and stuff will also pop up. Just shoot me a DM if you want to chat.
Yay. Thank you, Delanique.
Thank you.